Another E3 has come and gone, and we're almost halfway through this amazing year for gaming. We've had new reveals, iconic moments, and more 2020 release dates than you can shake a stick at. But through it all, we got some amazing games announced, and I, for one, am absolutely excited to play them when they come out in like 15 years. Now, I could do an E3 discussion video, but I'm already scheduled for some collaborations on that very subject, so today, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and instead talk about my 10 favourite games shown off at E3. Whether they were shown off in a conference, on the show floor, it doesn't matter. All games are eligible, whether they were announced this year, last year, or the year before. My only goal is to highlight the 10 games I was most excited for that were showcased this year. But before we get into the list proper, I just want to give a massive shout out to my Patreons over on Patreon, specifically to Galaxylord1954 EX, my new $1 patron. Thank you so much, and to you and everyone else, you guys are awesome. And thank you to everyone watching this video as well. You guys are just as awesome, just slightly less awesome because those guys are on my Patreon, you know. Gotta have some sort of hierarchy here, damn it. So without further ado anyway, let us begin. At number 10, we've got Luigi's Mansion 3. The long-awaited third installment in the Luigi's Mansion series, this game has absolutely no excuse to look as clean and polished as it does right now. Compared to its reveal trailer back in the 2018 September Direct, it is very clear that the devs have polished the animations, graphics, details in the environment, and shading to make this game pop. While I've never played a Luigi's Mansion title, shocking I know, the gameplay looked interesting and the different mechanics really piqued my interest. On top of this, Nintendo had a booth at E3 this year dedicated to Luigi's Mansion, complete with the creepy aesthetics that the series is known for, so you can tell this is a big game for Nintendo to get out this year. The decision to return to a traditional one-location exploration style, as opposed to the level-based style of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, has also excited consumers, and I can't wait to dive into this haunted hotel as the cowardly, yet brave, brother of our favourite plumber in this horror comedy experience. It's not got a release date so far, but my guess is we'll be seeing this game show up in a September Direct with an October release date to coincide with Halloween season. But we'll see. At number 9, we've got Ori and the Will of the Wisps. The sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, one of the best Metroidvanias of the last decade, as well as a personal favourite for me to play through, even if only 4 people watched the Twitch stream back then. I adored everything about the original, and I was moved to tears by its narrative. With the sequel having been teased for a few years with various trailers, looks at the game, we finally have a release date, and that's gotten me oh so pumped for this title. I want to see how the story develops after the birth of Kuro's child, how Ori and the baby owl interact with their friendship, and whether it will end in tragedy or happiness. The gameplay is, as always, beautiful and crisp. The art style is so unique and well animated that it just radiates originality. The music by Gareth Coker, as well, is spectacular to listen to, and overall this title is just something I want in my life. Ori and the Will of the Wisps releases on February 11th, 2020. At number 8, we've got Cyberpunk 2077, the newest title from CD Projekt Red and one of the most talked about titles from the past few years. After being properly teased in 2018 for the first time, we finally now have more of an idea as to this game's gameplay and style thanks to its appearance in Microsoft's 2019 conference. From my point of view, the first-person gameplay is reminiscent of Skyrim or the Deus Ex games and looks polished and refined. It's a slight shame we haven't seen an option for a third-person mode, as there's something to be said about seeing your character walk through the streets of this cyberpunk landscape, but perhaps that could be a feature we haven't seen yet, who knows. Though, let's be real, the biggest reason for me listing this title is because of its star power. Keanu Reeves came out to introduce this game. Surprisingly fitting given his role as Neo from The Matrix, and both series' fascination with machinery. It was an epic E3 moment that will go down in history, as absolutely breathtaking.
You're breathtaking!
Oh, thanks, Keanu! Cyberpunk 2077 releases on April 16th, 2020. At number 7, we've got Doom Eternal, the sequel to Doom 2016 and arguably the only game I was personally invested in from the Bethesda conference. But good god did they make us wait, with the only highlight between the start and end of the conference being Ikumi Nakamura, who is a precious cinnamon roll who must be protected, and Ghostwire Tokyo does get an honourable mention for its premise and because of Ikumi.
It's spooky.
But we're here to talk about Doom Eternal. Blood, gore, the power trip you've always wanted to go on, murdering countless demons in your path, and now with a fun sprinkle of parkour action on the side. Doom Eternal seems like the genuine evolution that the franchise needs to elevate itself to new heights. The combat was already flawless, so obviously the choice to focus on movement mechanics and navigation was the only real choice they could make. And it works wonders. Being able to move around levels and go to far-off platforms you couldn't reach in the 2016 game effectively tells us that Doom Eternal's level design is going to be something very special. These games may not be for everybody, but given it's coming out on all major platforms, they're definitely trying to get as many people playing as possible. The multiplayer concept also sounds intriguing and definitely has a layer of strategy to it that many people will probably enjoy. Doom Eternal releases on November 22nd, 2019 for all major platforms. At number 6, we've got Fire Emblem Three Houses, the latest installment in the long-running strategy JRPG franchise, and the first console game for Fire Emblem since Radiant Dawn. This is a big title, and Intelligent Systems need to hit this game out of the park, and based on the February blowout for this game, I can't say I was too excited to play it back then. Everything felt like a Harry Potter school simulator but with war, and while I love managing my characters, I do prefer the more traditional storylines where you go from map to map with cutscenes in between, though I am excited to explore the monastery hub area. But then, E3 dropped a massive bombshell on us. The school gameplay is just the prologue of the game, as the real story begins after a 5-year time skip where the 3 major houses are all warring against each other. Suddenly, which house you pick in the beginning of the game determines your allegiance in the war to come, and characters you come to know and love may turn down a dark path. What caused this war to take place? And I am just excited to get to know these characters, only to have war tear them all apart. That is what we have to find out, and this massive twist cemented this game as a title I needed to play. And for those wondering, I'm leaning towards choosing the Golden Deer House because Claude. I don't think I need to explain any further. Fire Emblem Three Houses releases worldwide on the Nintendo Switch on July 26th, 2019. At number 5, we've got The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the remake of the hit Game Boy Zelda game first released back in the 90s. Link's Awakening is one of my favorite Zelda games of all time, definitely my favorite 2D title, so seeing it getting the remake treatment has warmed my cold, stony, bitter heart. And the remake looks fantastic! From what we've seen from demos and the like, the game has retained its sense of progression, and nothing has been terribly altered from its original incarnation back on the Game Boy, with the new addition being the ability to create custom dungeons called Chamber Dungeons from preset rooms which you can get special rewards from by completing them. Though it's a replacement for the camera shot from the DX version of the game. Sorry Papagenos, your Game Boy printer won't be getting booted up for this reboot. The way the designers took liberties to really make the island of Koholint pop, adding new details into every screen, while keeping everything surprisingly accurate to its original counterpart, is honestly the best part of this remake. Hopefully they'll have made some of the bosses a bit tougher though, I'm looking at you Hothead and Anglerfish, and the graphical style just works so well given the game's entire premise, which I will not spoil here. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for Nintendo Switch releases on the 20th of September, 2019. At number 4, we've got the sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. What a way to end the E3 Nintendo Direct! We thought Banjo for Smash was going to be the most exciting news we got at E3, but no! Nintendo have confirmed that the sequel to Breath of the Wild is in development. Now, many people have speculated this means it's probably just started development, but that definitely isn't the case. Eiji Aonuma confirmed back in December of 2017 that a new Zelda game was in production, and given the depth and polish of the cutscenes we saw in this short teaser for Breath of the Wild 2, it's safe to say this game has definitely been in development for a while. Not only that, but they don't have to spend time working on a new engine, as they worked for years tweaking the Breath of the Wild engine, so why not use it again? It would be criminal not to. And while no doubt Hyrule will probably change its appearance in Breath of the Wild, I imagine we'll be seeing familiar locations and the map will probably be reused to some extent, so we could be seeing this title as early as 2020. But why am I absolutely excited for this game? Well, the atmosphere. It's very clear this game is going to be the Majora's Mask to Breath of the Wild's Ocarina of Time, so to speak, and Aonuma even confirmed this game is going to be darker than Majora, and with the creepy trailer, I believe it. One thing's for sure, you'll be catching me waiting with bated breath for more news about our newest adventure in Hyrule. At number 3, we have the Final Fantasy VII Remake. No doubt this will definitely be many gamers' number 1, and that's completely understandable. If you grew up with Final Fantasy VII, your excitement for this game will probably be tenfold. But as someone who doesn't have that nostalgia for this game, it's not my top pick. But god, does this game look beautiful! The graphics, the characters, the voice cast, the battle system, the designs, the music. Everything about this game is what everybody wanted and more. This is the Final Fantasy VII that players imagined in their heads while playing the original on their PlayStation 1 when they were younger. And even though I hold no attachment to the game itself, I couldn't stop myself from feeling the hype as well. From the little details like materia actually being equipped to your weapons in a visual sense, to the fact that the cast has moved on to full-on swearing instead of Barrett's infamous censored lines in the PlayStation 1 version, to the way you can see all the cast's moves being shown off to their fullest, and of course how absolutely fantastic Aerith looks, because damn it, we all love Aerith. I have to say I'm extremely excited to dive into the world of Midgar. Though, one small thing to note, the voice cast for this title is new. The original voice for Cloud, Steve Burton, who has voiced the character in Advent Children, the Kingdom Hearts games, and more, will not be reprising his role. Instead, Cody Christian of Teen Wolf fame will be taking on the role of Cloud Strife, and from what we've heard so far, assuming the voice lines from the demo are Cody Christian, I couldn't tell the difference between the two, so take that for what you will. Final Fantasy VII Remake releases on March 3rd, 2020. At number 2, we have Watchdogs Legion, the third installment in the Watchdogs series that had me and my friends in absolute stitches when the game was revealed at Ubisoft's conference. From the grungy and geographically accurate London setting to the impeccable British voice cast, this game is an absolute treat for the eyes and ears, and us Brits are definitely getting our money's worth here. And I mean, given Brexit's a thing, I feel like we deserve this. Being able to scan anyone for their information was a great start to the gameplay, but then discovering you can recruit anybody, though with permadeath as a balance, it practically sold me on this title, and I also enjoy how you can surrender with your character to avoid permadeath if you really want to. I've never been much of a Watch Dogs fan, but the new setting and the atmosphere has me sold on this title, and that's not even getting into the fact that you can play as anybody you want. Policemen, thugs, hackers, teenagers. You can even play as your grandma, and grandma's got a taser with your name on it. Helen Dashwood is an icon, up there with Mario, Link, and Sonic after all. This game knew exactly what to show and wowed not only myself, but the internet at large. And best of all, it actually gave us gameplay. So many reveals this year showed cinematic trailers, but no gameplay. So getting some actual footage of the game being played really helped to sell the game to me, and helped Ubisoft start off with a bang, even if that momentum fizzled out the more their conference went on. Watchdogs Legion launches post-Brexit, probably, on March 6th, 2020. At number 1, we have Hollow Knight Silksong, the sequel to my Game of the Year for 2017, Hollow Knight. Silksong had a surprisingly large impact at E3 this year, even if most people watching at home may not have noticed. Firstly, it was the second game shown in the third-party sizzle reel at the end of Nintendo's E3 Direct. A great spot to be in, as it came right after Spyro Reignited Trilogy, so everyone was definitely paying attention. Then it was revealed to have a demo on the show floor, along with a 22-minute feature from Nintendo Treehouse on day 2 of E3, which shedded a lot of light on Silksong and what we can expect. It's also worth noting that aside from Nintendo's first-party titles, Astral Chain and Cadence of Hyrule, the Silksong gameplay video has the most views, with 226,000 on the Nintendo main channel, more so than the titles like Spyro Reignited, No More Heroes 3, Dragon Quest XI, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. For an indie game, that's very impressive. But that's because Hollow Knight, the first game in the series, found a real home on the Switch, becoming one of the best-selling indie titles of last year on the system. So of course the sequel would be exciting and people would be interested, and after watching the gameplay and seeing that the people playing knew the games and knew what they were talking about and knew how to play, oh, I'm so damn hyped! Silksong follows Hornet, who was a major character from the first game that tested the knight in his adventures. Having been imprisoned and taken to a new land, she has to fight her way to the top of Farloom with nail, tools, and silk in hand. The more acrobatic movement she has promises a different experience to Hollow Knight, but the art style and animations look just as brilliant as they always have. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. While we don't know when Silksong is releasing, the Treehouse commentator hinted that this game is coming soon, which normally is just placeholder info, but this game looks so polished, and the Treehouse commentator, from their words, felt like they'd played this game extensively before. So I can't help but wonder if we could see Silksong coming later in 2019 or early 2020. Either way, it's one of my most anticipated games of this year, and I'd love for it to come out in 2019, so I can put it not only on my top 5 games of 2019 list, but my top 10 games of the decade list, because I know I'm gonna love it. What were your favourite games this year from E3 that got your blood pumping with excitement? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you have the time, of course. Every subscriber helps after all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.